السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا بكم في نيوكاسل مع وليد. جمعة مباركة للجميع. معنا اليوم ضيف مميز، موريسون، المدير السابق لوسائل الإعلام الرقمية في نادي نيوكاسل يونايتد، النادي الذي أصبح سعودي الآن، وأيضا لايف برودكاستر في منطقة الشرق الأوسط وجنوب آسيا. سبق أن عمل في ART شبكة راديو تلفزيون العرب سابقا، والعديد من البرامج الأخرى والقنوات. Welcome, lads and lasses, today with us this lovely afternoon with a lovely guest, Mr. Joe Morrison. Welcome, Joe.
شكرا كيف حالك؟
Okay, if I know you speak Arabic, I will avoid the whole English.
شوي my Arabic is, زين تمام.
Great. زين تمام. Okay, excellent. Okay, now Joe, for the Saudi fans supporting Newcastle previously and now, they should know that you are working in a club in the media operation during the most successful period in recent Newcastle history. Sir Bobby Robson.
Who's that young man?
I believe it's you.
Minu.
This is maybe from Kuwait. Minu, not like Saudi. Maybe as we can say mean.
You'll have to explain to the English. I would say Minu, which is who, isn't it? Who?
Yeah, who, but in different accent. Kuwaiti accent, Emirati accent, yeah.
Emirati, yeah.
Okay, Joe.
That was a long time ago. That was 2006, I think that was, when Sir Bobby Robson came over here to the UAE, and he did. So I came to the UAE to do the Premier League. It was the first time it was done in English at that time. This was before beIN Sports did the Premier League, and before Showtime did the Premier League. And Sir Bobby very kindly was a guest on the show in November 2006, and I was very young then as well. Look, fresh-faced.
Yeah, 20 years. If for me, 20 years ago, I was a kid. Right, Joe. Describe. Let's talk about this great period of time you were in Newcastle United. Tell us how it was for you there. Your experience in Newcastle.
Oh, how long have you got? We need days. Wow.
Good memories. The good memories. Good times.
Yeah.
Maybe Champions League times. Fans times.
Yeah. Look, when I left Newcastle United in 2005, if you'd said to me that Newcastle will never be in the Champions League again until obviously today we're talking about, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have said, what? How can Newcastle not be in the Champions League on a regular basis? If not every year, then certainly regularly. Because at that time, we were in the Champions League every year. That the final year I was at Newcastle, we were in what was called, it was the precursor to the Europa League. And it was still the UEFA Cup. I'm testing my memory here. I think it was still the UEFA Cup at that time. And that was under Graham Souness, my final year there. So, but if you'd said to me back then, Alwaleed, that, no more Champions League, myself, I think most fans who are watching this would have said, are you crazy? Are you stupid? We had some amazing trips. Actually, this photo that you're showing now was Sir Bobby Robson's memorial service at Durham Cathedral. Where did you get that photo from, by the way?
Of course, from Mr. Google.
From Google. That was in Durham Cathedral, and it was packed. And there was just a classic example of Sir Bobby as a person. I worked in the backroom staff, that, like you say, the media department. I wasn't one of his players. I wasn't a fellow manager. And for him, and he had this team that had basically organized his memorial service. And I got this invite through the post. It was via the English Football Association, and invited to his memorial service. I was absolutely shocked. I was like, why would he invite me? But that was the type of person he was. He invited backroom staff. It wasn't just the great and the good and the famous players. Jose Mourinho was there. For example, Sir Alex Ferguson, obviously. And players that he'd worked with. So to go back to your original question, it was just amazing that period of time because of the European competition. And I don't care what anyone says, Alwaleed, the Champions League is still the greatest club competition in the world, in my opinion. And it's the competition that every player wants to play in. And it's connected, obviously, to what we'll go on and talk about. But, you know, we went to places like Sarajevo, to Kiev, Milan, Barcelona, Holland. We went to Eindhoven. That was an amazing night. The De Kuip Stadium. So all of these fabulous trips, which not just for us as media and working for the club, but also for fans as well. Can you imagine what it was like for fans traveling all over Europe? That's part of the experience, not just traveling all over the UK, but traveling all over Europe as well. So
remind me, Joe, is it Tino Asprilla? You witnessed Tino Asprilla hat-trick?
No, he'd left the club before I arrived there, so I didn't witness that as working for the media. Obviously, I saw it at the time from a fan's point of view, because I worked at the BBC before going to Newcastle United, so I'd seen it as a fan, but I wasn't working in media at that time. So, but you know, we still had a few Latin American characters at that time, such as Nobby Solano, who was so funny, such a funny character behind the scenes. So for me, as a fan, to then be involved inside the club, it was like a dream come true. It was like working in, Willy Wonka, Alwaleed, you know the film, Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory? It was like working in
Johnny Depp version.
Yes. It was like working in Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
That's a huge statement. Great, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
And it took me a while to kind of settle. It took me 6 months to settle, because at the beginning when you work there, you're just a fan. And then you have to become sort of professional and realize that you've got a job to do as well as going to all these amazing games as well, you know. So, but the most important thing I'd like to say is the atmosphere. There was a buzz around the stadium, the fan base, the city. The traveling support was even better, because, you know, obviously the majority of fans wouldn't travel to away games, in particular in Europe. So that core group of fans that went to Europe, they were a community in themselves. They were their own club.
You know. I still didn't go there, but I'm planning very soon. I watch
Inshallah.
I watch the film Goal, and it gave me an idea about what you are talking about.
I was in that, the first one. I mean, that was crazy. By the way, so yes, so you're going to laugh at this. So I was in that. Let me just make it clear. I was in that for, I think, 4 frames.
Full frame?
1 second, 2 seconds of the movie.
And the movie, you are in the movie.
Yeah. So they have there's a press conference scene, and they used us, you know, people that worked in the club and other people as extras in the movie. So we had to go and sit in this fake, obviously, press conference, which they filmed. And I'm sure, Alwaleed, I was in that movie. So
you appear in the screen. The screen.
No. You can see the back inside of my head.
Okay, that's quite enough.
So you literally have to pause. You have to pause the TV to see it. But it was crazy, because they were filming at the club for weeks and weeks. The players were involved in some of the scenes, and they did a lot of filming of match action at St James's Park. And the funny thing was that the actors were struggling with the match action, and it wasn't because of their football technique. It was because they weren't athletes. When you're filming, you might have to do 20 takes. You have to do the same scene 20 times or 30 times. So for the players, it was easy, kicking a ball from the right hand side, crossing the ball in for whoever, Alan Shearer, to get on the end of it. But for the actors, kicking that ball for 30 times, they were getting hamstring injuries, calf injuries, and the physiotherapy staff couldn't keep up with all of the injuries. But it was crazy. We could have another conversation about the Goal movie. So yes,
I just want to make
2 seconds.
Great, that's great. So you're sorry for the movie. I want actually, I had embarrassing moments, but hopefully it wasn't. It's funny, but that's why I'm gonna say. When I watched the movie, and I watched the movie with the ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Neil Crompton, and I thought Harris. I saw Alan Shearer. I saw Gerard. So I thought Harris is a player, not an actor. So I said, how I missed? No, Harris, Stephen Harrison, or Harris?
Harris. I can't remember the.
Yeah, the player who was friend of Santi. The actor, the actor of the. I thought he's a player, really, really before, and I said how I was missing this player from all my readings. So he's an actor. That was really nice.
Yeah, there now actually is a Santiago Nunes at the club, isn't there?
Yeah, this is the
in the under-23s.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, exactly. And we have the takeover, and we have the takeover with it. So it's weird. So much pressure on the player now, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't watch the movie, really. Okay, now we'll continue in the happy times before we're going to quick pass.
No. Let's stay on the happy times.
Really?
Not do the bad times.
So I cancel Mike Ashley, Khali Wali, the topic Mike Ashley.
Khali Wali,
sure.
Khali Wali. You'll need to explain to people what Khali Wali is.
All right. So I have topic here for Mike Ashley to ask Mr. Joe about it, but he said Khali Wali. Khali Wali is the slang language in Saudi. It's like ignore it or leave it.
Forget about him.
Forget about it. It's
like
Khali Wali. Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah. It's like New York Italian mafia kind of slang where they say forget about him.
Forget about it. Yeah, totally forget about it. Khali Wali. Yeah. So Mike Ashley Khali Wali, because Joe asked to say so. All right. So okay, let's move to ART. ART, you left the club, and you went to, maybe you have offer from ART. ART, it was the main coverage of the Middle East football, and especially Premier League and Champions League before beIN Sport. Tell us about this experience.
Do you remember it? Joe. Do you remember ART? Yeah,
of course I remember. Actually, before when they always ask me what you are supporting, I always say it's a generation matter, because we got coverage. For me, when I was young, my coverage was the newspaper only, a Riyadiyya newspaper. That's all. But later, NBC channel, they have, I think, 2 or 3 years covering. After this, ART came until I believe, I'm not really sure, 2000 maybe. 11 or 12, I'm not sure. Then beIN came. Then beIN came recently. So let's talk about your experience in ART, Joe.
So ART, how I got the ART job was weird. It was I'd come over to Dubai with the team when they had a mid-season break. It was around the time of the Dubai World Cup, and Graham Souness was the manager then, and the team came over. We all came together. And my brother lived here at the time anyway, but I met a guy at the horse race who was a producer here. And he said, we got talking, and he said, I'm the producer, and we're starting English language coverage of the Premier League, because I think, Alwaleed, it was only in Arabic up to that point, wasn't it? There was only Arabic coverage. And he said, we're going to start doing English coverage. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, of course. And just forgot about it. And then got a phone call towards the end of the season saying, would you come over and meet the various people? I think it was Sally Camel's son who was looking after the ART channel. Abdullah, is it? Abdullah Camel. And so I came over and met them, did a screen test, and the rest is history. So it was crazy. It happened very quickly. And I'm glad that I did it, but it was different. It was very different. It was different to broadcasting here in terms of broadcasting back home, because you're broadcasting to expats. You got to stop showing that photo.
No, because I want more details about the ART interview with Sir Bobby.
Oh, so basically, when I came, they said we have budgets to fly over ex-players, which is normal. And they come on the show. And when I actually got here and we started the season, they told me there was no budget to fly people over. So basically what I had to do was, anyone who was in Dubai for another reason I had to just phone them, use my contacts, phone them, and basically say, would you come on the show? And Sir Bobby very kindly, because that was the type of person he was, he very kindly came on the show, amongst many others. I mean, in terms of Newcastle, Warren Barton came on the show, Rob Lee in those early days, Gary Speed, God bless his soul, he came on as well, because he was over with Bolton on a mid-season trip and break when he was playing with Bolton at that particular point in time. So I just had to beg, you know what it's like when you're doing YouTube and podcasts. You just have to beg and borrow and ask and see if they can come on. So it was an invaluable experience. And obviously, because my contacts book, Alwaleed, had more Newcastle in it than it did any other players, because obviously that's where I'd worked, it tended to be a lot of Newcastle players in that first year, until the second year when they did manage to find some budget and some sponsors, and we were able to get other players on.
So I believe this is very helpful to get coverage from Newcastle from you.
Maybe there was someone watching way back then who decided to support Newcastle because of that. Who knows?
Yeah, because now 30 million Saudi, now they are all and especially the sport fan, they are all what they talk about is Newcastle United.
Crazy. I think, you know what, Alwaleed, I don't know if you've talked about this in your previous YouTube videos. There's one thing that certainly the fans back in the UK need to understand when it comes to the Gulf, and that is the Saudi fans are the most passionate about football. They are run only close by possibly Omanis. They are obsessed by football as well. But in the UAE, stadiums they struggle to get crowds. I went to cover a game in Qatar. It was Barcelona against, it was an exhibition match in Qatar, because Qatar Airways was sponsoring Barcelona. It was an exhibition match, Barcelona against Al Hilal, I think it was. And remember, in the team at that time was Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi, all three of them lined up. And the stadium was half empty. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how can you have Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi, Barcelona as a team at their best? This was maybe 7 years ago. And you can't you can't fill the stadium. It was just nuts to me. And yet you'll see in the King's Cup, for example, in Saudi, the stadium's full. Did you see the crowd the other night against China?
Saudi Arabia, sometimes it's the King Stadium, King Fahd Stadium, about 60,000. There is more fans outside. They can't get in.
Yeah.
Another 60,000 outside the stadium. They can't get in.
And I think that's something that those watching this back in the UK and certainly in the Northeast need to understand, that this is very, very different, this takeover, to, for example, Qatar buying the World Cup. There is a serious passion for football in Saudi Arabia. All clubs, by the way, not just obviously, hopefully it'll be all Newcastle from now on, but all clubs. That's not the same. That's not the same.
I believe Newcastle will be much better, because all Saudi now going to one club, not like divided from local teams. So now we all supported one club. So this is brilliant.
And Alwaleed, when they buy Mo Salah,
who? Salah?
Mo Salah.
Yeah.
But when Mo Salah comes to St James's Park, it'll be even bigger.
Yeah, of course.
Hey,
and hopefully maybe we sign him soon. Who knows? Okay, that's brilliant, Joe. Really, it's enjoying talking to you. There is something actually. When for me, actually, I went to hosting you a long time ago, and sometimes it's the timing. I'm always with it. I always focus on the timing. What's the best time to ask such a person or such a celebrity or famous person?
Z-list. I'm a Z-list celebrity, Alwaleed.
Z-list? No, you are A-list. No, come on. I want to know. I believe not just me. For me, I know. I want the fans to know. There is a topic. It's been ignored. That the takeover behind the scene, when it should be announced 1 year ago, more than 1 year ago, it was about to happen, and this is what make people give up on the deal. When they said Newcastle will happen in January, they said it's not gonna ever happen. if it would happen, it should be never before. So I will show the photos of the article, and I will play a video. I believe from my Join the Dots. I believe it's together. It's joined together.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, that was the article from you. I think you shared it in YouTube in your account for Mr. Khalid Ali.
Oh, the Arab News article.
Yeah. Let me just. I have too much photo here. That was the article.
Yeah, that was last week, wasn't it?
Yes. And I will show you the video. I think talking about the same story by Dr. Neil Mitchell.
Oh, he's my dentist.
Okay, Geordie dentist. So
are my teeth good?
See?
Are my teeth good? Are they good? Hey?
For me,
I don't think they're very good.
I need some help. Okay, so let's join the dots, and you will have. Let's play the video first.
Okay.
Something you touched on, Keith, about never predicting dates. I once did predict a date, and I got burned for it badly.
I didn't know.
But I'll tell everybody why I got burned for it badly, because I can talk with a bit more freedom now. Round about the 1st of June, I was told from a superb source in the Saudi press that a soft yes was given. And that guy is a respected sports journalist here in the Middle East. And he had prepared the website, the web page that would go up with all the takeover news on it. He had graphics, he had interviews with Amanda Stavely, he had a history in Newcastle United, he had all sorts written. He was told by his editor, do not move from your laptop for the next 48 hours. When you get the message from me, push the button, it goes live. Yeah. And he, out the grace of his good heart, told me this and said, Mitch, run with it. Tell everybody they're going to get some good news. Then there's a mate of mine, Geordie lad, who works for one of the newspapers in this part of the world as well. He works in graphics. He was saying, Mitch, I've just laid out the graphics for the takeover. Very similar thing. So 2 different sources, 2 different newspapers, all saying there's a soft yes being given. It's just a matter of hours. And that was around about June the 1st. And then everything changed. And it's the one time I've ever gone cock a hoop on a date. And yeah, I got my ass burned with it. But that's the information I was getting, that there's a soft yes being given. We've got everything ready to go. All we've got to do is push the button, because now that's what it is. It's publish by pushing a button. You know, one of them's told, don't move from your laptop next 48 hours. I'll tell you when to push it. Boom. And so something in a very short period of time, changed significantly enough to put all of that on hold.
Yeah. That was from NFC Matters with the journalist Sivre.
It's
your
true.
Take on that?
It's all true, and we can out him now because obviously it's after the event and everyone has done well to keep their mouth shut. But yes, Ali Khalid, he's a very esteemed football journalist here. He's the one that wrote that article in Arab News last week. So, what my dentist is saying is absolutely correct. That's everything. Those of us who were in broadcast media, who were in journalism here, that's exactly what we were told as well. Now, the crazy thing is, and you know this, you understand this, my friends, I'll call them friends in high places, is that such a thing? In Saudi, every time I spoke to them over the course of the last year, it was, look, it will happen. It's just a matter of when. And here's the thing. I've been asked a lot, actually, Alwaleed, over the course of the last week, how do you feel? And the only word I can come up with is relief. And the reason is, it feels to me, when someone owes you some money and they keep saying, next week, look, don't worry about it. I've got the money. I just need a little bit of time. I'll give it to you next week, inshallah. Next week, inshallah. And,
Yeah, that's why I don't lend money.
So that's how I certainly felt for the course of the last year, because people who were very well connected to PIF, and to the powers that be in Saudi were telling me it will happen. We just cannot tell you when. Now, when someone keeps telling you that over a period of time, you start to have doubt. There's no ifs or buts about that. You lose a little bit of hope because, like the money analogy, you wonder if you're ever going to get your money back, you know, even though someone is promising you. And then this last week, bang, that person who owes you money, he just gone, there you go. You know that money I owed you from, what was it, 18 months ago? There you go. There's the money. So that's how I felt over the course of the last year. And of course, as Mitch points out, as Neil Mitchell points out, you know, everyone thinks you're just and Mitch has been a lot more outspoken and been involved in a lot more podcasts and obviously, you know, speaking out about this over the course of the last year, as have all of the guys at NUFC Matters. When you put something out there, you are going to have tomatoes thrown at you. That's the nature of it. So, you know, they're all brave boys for a year and a half saying it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Because as the time rolls on, people are less believing of you. You know, they think that you're, you know.
Actually, this has happened to me personally. I start officially the show once the takeover news start in May 2020, and after a lot of people get care about this and talking about it. But when the deal almost it says, let's say, collapse after the Saudi pullout, I thought this is just temporarily. This is just maybe tactics, because I know that PIF they never failed a deal before. They are always winning all the deals being involved in, and also I see the Newcastle fans, they are eager to continue to fight, to keep asking, not just ignoring and let it go. They didn't let it go, which has helped a lot. And Premier League, they just keep delay. They didn't stop, or they didn't expect both sides will continue to the end. I believe this was the reason. So, sure,
sorry. So I think there needs to be, certainly from the English Newcastle fans, I think they need to understand a bit of culture. And what I mean by culture, I'm not talking about Saudi culture in general. I'm talking about the mindset of the people at the top level in PIF, for example, and how they think. Now, and I deal with them here in the Emirates. I've spent many times and occasions in Saudi. Those guys that are top level, the serious money men, let's call them that, Alwaleed, the way they think is completely different to how you and I think. And basically, they had done a deal in that January of that year to buy a percentage of Facebook. And I think it cost them $4 billion. And here they are, and they did that deal in a very short space of time. My understanding was it was a month. It took from start of the deal to finish, halas, money, there you go, yalla. Now, the problem is with this particular deal, I can understand how they were thinking. We want to buy Newcastle United. It's only 300 million out of our wallet, yeah? And here, the Premier League is wasting our time, delay, wasting our time. 1 month goes by, 2 months go by, 3 months go by. I can understand them sitting there going, halas, you know, go. You're insulting me. You're embarrassing me. We've done a deal with Facebook for billions, and we did that deal in 1 month, and here we are buying a football club, and you're wasting our time. So I can understand how they felt at that point in time. I never doubted that it wouldn't happen. Well, I did doubt. Of course, I had doubts, like many people had doubts. I did, through it all, think that it would happen. My fear was, as time went on, Alwaleed, that their focus would go elsewhere. Because as you know, and you've discussed in many videos with the lads as well, you know, Inter Milan have been crying out for new owners and new funding. My fear was every month, every year that would go on and there would be a delay, another opportunity might come up. Look at Juventus. Juventus are in a mess at the moment. Maybe Juventus might go, we want to buy. Here, come buy Juventus, you know? So that was my fear with the time delay, that they might get to a point where they say, there's another opportunity elsewhere. This opportunity is not happening, so let us go and put our money somewhere else. That was my fear. Does that make sense?
Of course. Let's bring us to the cat case. I think I have less respect for Premier League. They waste our life, 2 years of our life chasing this deal, which has happened in few days. Suddenly, few days change. Why? Because of the cat case. So what happened in the cat case really? Is it the Judge Miles was fair enough and see this shouldn't be take much time for this? Is it he find the Premier League guilty? How's this affect the Premier League? The cat case. I believe they affect them very bad. Affect their reputation of the Premier League, and the most thing, it's very how is this? Very stupid. They are thinking because BN the band of BN left, we allow the deal. Fans are Saudi fans and Newcastle fans. They are not stupid. They know this is not was the reason. Because if this BN band left, this has been left long time ago. Just a process. If we know this is the reason, we will do it since long time ago. We're not waiting the cat case to lift the BN Sports. Something. What you can tell us about it? Maybe inside information.
Well, first of all, I don't have inside information on the cat case. The guys such as Keith and all the rest of them, they know everything, and I would never ever pretend to know about all of that because I don't. What I would say is, I would say the piracy thing was important. I think a number of things were important. The piracy was important. The beIN Sports, coming to agreement was important. I would say the cat case was also important. Why? Because these were all angles of pressure coming from different areas. It wasn't pressure from one direction. It was pressure from multiple directions. So each individual thing was important, not just one thing. And just going back to that, Richard Masters in particular, I don't have any respect for him, and I'll tell you why. Richard Masters got the job by accident. If you remember, the Premier League actually had, I think it was 3 CEOs lined up. 2 refused the job. 1 went into the job and then quit after 1 month. Now, Scudamore, I met Scudamore, who was the previous CEO of the Premier League. He was an amazing guy. I met him on multiple occasions, had lunch with him a couple of times. He was very smart, diplomatic. He understood the business side of it. He understood the TV element of it. He understood how he had to be diplomatic with the clubs to make sure they were all involved, because it's a league. It's not, you're not just trying to serve the interests of one club. And he was able, because he had that power and that respect, more importantly, he was able to keep all of the clubs together and say, hey, this is for the good of the whole league. This is for the benefit of everyone. Now, once he stepped aside and Richard Masters came in, Richard Masters didn't have that same strength, that same power. And I think Richard Masters has been bullied a little bit by the big clubs, the big 6, if you like, and others. And he didn't, and you see more and more now that information is coming out, that Richard Masters is how do you say, like a lapdog, for the big clubs in the Premier League. So what they say, he does, jump. So he jumps, bark, woof, It's like, that's how I see it. So I don't think he was, I don't have good things to say about him, and I have to be a little bit careful what I do say.
I believe regarding the fine of Super League breakthrough, I believe he said, okay, please tell me how I can punish you in front of the media.
Well, look, don't start me on the Super League. The thing about that is, and by the way, when I said many things contributed to this sudden change and we're now at the takeover, such as the cat case, such as the piracy issue being sorted out, the other bit was the European Super League. I think that threat of the European Super League made Richard Masters in particular, and the board of the Premier League in particular, sit up and go, ooh, we have another threat here. So you put all of those threats together, it's just focused their minds a little bit to say, right, okay. And because at the end of the day, Alwaleed, it's about money. Why do the big six, why do Barcelona, Real Madrid, why do they want a European Super League? They want a European Super League because they need more money.
More money, exactly. Not money, more money. So they are not just satisfied with big six and everything about them. They just want more.
Yes, they want more money. Yeah.
Greedy over needy, really. And,
yeah, it is greedy. So coming back to, sorry to interrupt you, Alwaleed.
No,
coming back to the piracy thing, the reason I say that the piracy was important is because beIN Sports, certainly globally, are their biggest revenue stream in terms of the rights, because they have the rights not only to the Middle East that you and I know, but they have the rights to places like Australia. They've got beIN Sports in America as well, although they don't have the rights to the Premier League in America. But they are a key client of the Premier League. So they needed to keep beIN Sports happy. Otherwise, beIN Sports could do, you know what's happened with Serie A in the Middle East? They've just gone, halas. Like, they've cancelled their contract. They cancelled their contract with regards to the French league as well. So they could have quite easily, if they weren't happy, they could have quite easily cancelled their Premier League contract and said, nah.
Super League, somehow, I believe, I'm thinking, it's help the takeover somehow. Did you see that?
You're absolutely right. That's why I'm saying that all of these things, I think, helped and contributed to the takeover. I think the Super League has focused a lot of people's minds, because what if, let's say, for example, the Real Madrid or Barcelona changed their policy in terms of being owned by the fans. We'll take Barcelona as example. Let's say they do a vote and they all agree, the fans and everyone agree, okay, we can have an outside party come in and buy the club. Who do you think they're going to go to first? They're going to go to people like the PIF fund and say, do you want to buy Barcelona?
Yes, I believe everything go crazy regarding the structure of the champions during the COVID. The COVID make us stop and rethink and replan, regardless who's right, who's wrong. But I believe this interval of time, because of COVID, people start, or the big people or the higher position, as you said, they try to want to change things because maybe they get affected from the resource of money. They just want to do some reform. How you can say about that?
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I think there's another part to that, which is debt, which I'll come on to in a second. But you have to understand, and I can only speak about this from a broadcasting point of view. In my time in TV, when I first came to the Middle East, you would pick any fan, let's say Manchester United fan. You would get a Manchester United fan would watch every single game. And I'm talking about the Manchester United fans in general. Even if Manchester United were playing Burnley, they would watch the game. They would watch it in a cafe, in a bar, anywhere. Now, a lot of fans, the global fans, Manchester United, Liverpool, anywhere, they'll watch the big teams against the other big teams. Every game. So they'll watch Manchester United play Liverpool, Manchester United play Chelsea, Man City, Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona. But there's less and less are watching Manchester United against Burnley. So that creates a broadcast problem, because I'm going to put my TV hat on here and say, right, I'm looking at the numbers, the viewers. We're not getting great viewers anymore for Manchester United against Burnley, but our numbers for Manchester United against Chelsea or Manchester United against Liverpool are going up. So we now have a problem. We now have a problem with the format and with the league. And this is where the whole European Super League thing started. It was they had in their vision, Manchester United will be playing Barcelona this week. They'll be playing, Liverpool will be playing Juventus next week. So every single week you had big teams playing big teams. Now for a TV and a rights perspective, and remember, Alwaleed, the majority of money that flows into the clubs right now is TV money. So yes, the TV broadcasters are saying, I'm sorry, what you're giving us, the numbers are going down. Therefore, our money to give you, the Premier League, has to go down. Now, the deal, the most recent TV deal in the Premier League, flatlined. What I mean by that is it was exactly the same amount of money as the previous one. And what you're seeing is certain rights deals around the world are actually going down in comparison to the last time where they were always going up. And remember, the premium that it was going up by was 10, 20, 30%. Now they're giving the same money, and in some parts of the world, they are offering less money. So that's a worry. That's a worry for clubs who need to keep that TV money coming in, that revenue coming in. So that's why the whole Super League thing started. I don't think the Super League thing is dead yet. It's not going to happen the way it was proposed.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And now we are in the issue of FIFA and the UEFA about the World Cup every 2 years also as well.
Tell me where Infantino is visiting the most over the last 2 years. Tell me. Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, yes.
Okay. So do you not think Infantino is looking at the Club World Cup, which is a waste of time? It's a stupid competition. You know, that Real Madrid play the champions of New Zealand. Who cares? He's looking at, and I know Arsene Wenger proposed this World Cup every 2 years. In my opinion, that's not going to happen. But what I think will happen is every 2 years, you get a Club World Cup, which is a tournament, like 1 month with the biggest clubs in the world. Juventus are there, Liverpool are there, Newcastle United are there.
Oh, yeah.
Barcelona, Real Madrid, you know, all of these teams are there for 1 month. So it's a World Cup, but it's a World Cup of the biggest and best teams, not Real Madrid coming just to play the final in Dubai against the winner of the Oceania group or the winner of the Latin American group. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Infantino is not stupid. He's not stupid.
But you believe a World Cup will not happen? Just maybe for clubs.
I don't think the World Cup every 2 years will happen. No, I think it'll stay as 4 years. But what I think may happen is you have a Club World Cup. And when I say Club World Cup, I mean a proper Club World Cup. Can you imagine 8 groups, 4 teams? Bayern Munich's are in there, Boca Juniors are in there, Sao Paulo is in there.
Yeah, but this is maybe will not affect the Champions League. Do you believe somehow?
If it's a 1 month tournament in the summer, every 2 years,
why not?
I don't know. Good question. Maybe I doubt it because it doesn't clash with the Champions League format. The Champions League format is a mess at the moment. It's a mess.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you see a couple of weeks ago when the Champions League started, all of the biggest teams, and again, forgive me, Alwaleed, I'm putting my TV cap on, all of the biggest teams were kicking off at exactly the same time. Now, as a TV person, that's not good for my channel because I cannot get the viewership, the juice out of my audience seeing Liverpool, seeing Manchester City, seeing AC Milan, seeing Real Madrid, because they're all kicking off at the same time. How is it? How, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
My team's Newcastle United, Alwaleed, right? That's my team.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about Newcastle now in the topic.
But I also watch Barcelona. You understand? See. And a lot of fans, as you know, in Saudi, they might have one team, but they'll also watch Messi or they'll also watch, you know, Real Madrid or whatever. They might have 2 teams. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. And now with the third champion of Europe, I believe there is too much. You know, the Champions League, the UEFA, and the third Cup of European. I forget what its name. Conference. I don't know what it's called. It's very hard to really catch on.
Europa Conference. I mean, seriously?
God. Yeah, exactly. From where that's come from?
Flesh.
Now Newcastle United. Now you are a fan of Newcastle United. You work in Newcastle United. We want to know when it was about to announce the takeover. Where were you and what you were doing back
then? Last Thursday. Oh, I'll tell you. I shouldn't say this. I'll tell you where I was. I was on a boat just off the coast of Dubai here, and as we went away and closer to the shore, the signal got stronger and then the signal got weak. So I was telling the captain of the boat, go closer to the shore. I need to keep up to date with, because there was a group of us. We were actually all from Newcastle. That was just an accident. It wasn't deliberate. All of us who were on the boat were from Newcastle, myself and my friends. So the captain kept sailing away from the coast. And I'm going, no, go back so I can get Twitter. And so that's where I was.
Okay, why you were in the boat in first place? And you should wait. It should wait.
But no, but the thing was, we booked this a week before, and of course, 2 days before, nobody knew that the takeover was going to happen. Nobody. So
really, brilliant, sir. Really.
We'd lose our money if we. And as you may well know, Alwaleed, you know, being from Newcastle and my mother is Scottish as well, I don't like to lose money. So when I've already paid for the boat,
that's not a Scottish thing only. That
yeah, true. So yeah, I'll never forget that. I was on a boat, but thankfully I was on a boat with other Newcastle fans. So it was
okay. Continue. And what happened?
Well, so obviously it was coming through on Twitter, and it was like, what? Because obviously the greatest thing, I love Twitter, Alwaleed, because it's like the news, but not officially confirmed yet. It's like the gossip, you know. If you and I were sitting in a cafe right now and you had some information, you would tell me the information, and I'm going, wow, Alwaleed, is that true? Yes, it's going to happen, Joe. You know, like we saw the video earlier on. I was going to Neil Mitchell because, like I say, he's my dentist, and I only visit him. I think it's twice a year or something like that, as you can tell. So we would have this conversation, and it's things that you can't say publicly all the time because sometimes there are legal constraints. Sometimes, you know, just out of courtesy, you don't want to reveal the information, such as we don't want to talk about Ali last year because it might affect him. So that's the great thing about Twitter. It's the gossip before it becomes official. And the more gossip there is, the more it's getting closer to it becoming official. The conversation with Neil Mitchell in particular was always one-sided because I'm on the chair with my mouth open, and Neil is telling me, you know, this and PIF and the takeover and what do you think about this, Joe? And have you heard? And I'm like, I couldn't really reply that well, you know.
The funny thing is,
so Twitter was the first place I heard.
Yeah, the Twitter
on a boat that was close enough to shore to get signal.
This is the most funny. I asked this question all my guests, but this is actually number one. It's a winner story. You are on a boat, come closer to get signal. This is so funny.
The captain didn't understand because obviously he was. Where was the captain from? I think he was from India. So obviously cricket fan, never heard of Newcastle United, doesn't know anything about football. And he's saying, like, I'll take you to a beautiful place off the shore. No. Go back to the shore.
This is Joe. This is one of the problem. Nobody understands you. I went to a barber because I promised after the takeover I will paint my hair blondie to become like more Saudi Gaza. So I went to the barber and a lot of lads there, and you know I look mature. So I said, please, you have something to color my hair. They think I'm crazy. Why you want to do? Okay, I want to do this, please, quickly. You have or not? I'm in a hurry. I went to maybe four or five barber shop until I found a Turkish lad who have the material for this, and it's really good.
All barbers are Turkish, aren't they? In the Middle East, all of them.
No, it's different nationalities, but I think the Turkish, they are very good at it because they said I have some special product from Turkey, and I think he was absolutely right. So the funny thing is, nobody understands why you doing this far. Nobody understands how I suffered this 2 years. I love Twitter, and the most thing is you can be brilliant about it. You can, if you have a news, and you can't say it, or you can make it as a hint. You can be, but you have to be very careful with the words you are using. And you should put it. Nobody can sue you or complain against you. You can put it in your way. This is the beauty of it, Sarah. So now let's talk some tactics. Future.
The future.
I've been hosted by some of broadcasters from Newcastle, and there was one I talk about. His name Baza. He told me that Newcastle now they want someone from the top to the bottom. So they want general manager for the club before the coach. How you see that?
It's a good idea. I mean, I think the new owners have to think two things at the same time. One is the short term, because there's a lot of things that you have to do now over the next few weeks, and one is the long term. So it's all very well saying we're going to build like Manchester City, we're going to develop the academy and get young players in. You can't do that in 1 week, 1 month. You can't even do that in 1 year. So you have to think on two fronts. You have to think, what do we need to do now short-term plan and what is the long-term plan. And I think getting in a director of football, great idea, who should also influence your managerial decision. But at the same time, you may need to get a manager in quickly, but it might not be the same manager that you have in your head is going to be there 2 years from now or 3 years from now, like long-term manager. So I wouldn't be going in saying, we're going to get this manager and we expect him to be there for 5 years. I'd be going in, that's why I said Zidane, which is not fantasy, by the way. People think I'm sometimes in fantasy land. Because Zidane is a manager who would attract elite players in the short term. And whilst you're doing that, you are building a plan for who is our manager going to be to develop this young talent and to be a coach of young talent. For example, Pochettino is a great, everyone knows and respects him for developing young talent and bringing young talent into the team. There's other managers who are just good at taking ready-made talent, Ancelotti, for example. So, you want two managers, you're going to be thinking about two managers, short-term, long-term. And whilst you've got your short-term fixed, then you can think about your long-term, who's going to be the manager that brings through all this talent. So, and the reason I said Zidane on social media was because you're not in the Champions League. And I still speak to agents. I'm still involved with all of them, even, they will tell you that if you're trying to persuade an elite player, they want to know one of two things to come to your club. Are you in the Champions League? And if the answer to that is no, who is the manager? Is the manager a top-level manager that I would respect? And Zidane is respected around the world. And I love people like Eddie Howe. I think they're fabulous coaches. But I'm sorry, Eddie Howe is not going to attract the caliber of Mbappe, Haaland, mention all the big names that you want. Does that make sense? You have to think totally, on both sides.
Totally. And at least one of the two things. Are you playing in the Champions League? Or who's the manager? At least you have one of these
Correct.
points.
And you have to be honest and you have to be a realist. We're not going to get into next year's Champions League. Okay. So, and are we going to realistically get into the Champions League the year after when you see how many strong sides are? I always think that it takes a minimum of 4 transfer windows to change your team and 8 transfer windows to get a team that is level competing at that. Look how long it took Liverpool. So you can't just go out. It's got nothing to do with money. You can't just go and buy the best 11 players in the world in next summer's transfer window because they're not available, all 11.
Exactly. You said short-term manager. I think this is very hard now to find short-term manager for Newcastle in this condition.
It is. And then you've got to understand, what do you want out of a short-term manager? Like, realistic, the first thing you want out of a short-term manager is just avoid relegation. In all this euphoria, Alwaleed, when we've all been celebrating the success and what were they doing in Saudi? Were they going up on 2 wheels in a Nissan Patrol? Whatever way you celebrate, there's a reality which is relegation. So what is your short-term manager going to give you? Is he going to give you, because remember, it's a long time between now and the 1st of January. And the 1st of January will be your first opportunity to bring in a better player or a better standard of player to bolster that team. Now, if you're adrift, you might still be in or around the relegation zone on the 1st of January, which is fine. You can rescue that situation. What you can't do is be in the relegation zone on the 1st of January and be 8, 9, 10 points adrift of the safe positions. The gap is getting wider. You're getting into trouble.
Zidane, you want him as of course, long-term manager.
Long-term manager? Ooh.
When you said Zidane for 10 goal?
Oh, no. Zidane short-term.
Short-term. But you can't tell Zidane this is short-term.
Why not? Zidane would come for... Zidane would come for two years. Remember, by the way, when I say short-term, it's about his contract. And the reason I say short-term is because...
Good. I thought something else.
Yeah. And the reason I say short-term contract is, let's say you find your perfect manager that you want long-term. you're going to have to sack that short-term manager. And if you've just given him a 5-year deal, this is the thing with Steve Bruce at the moment. Everyone's saying sack Steve Bruce, yeah, but it's going to cost you, I think I read, I don't know his contract, but I think I read 8 million. It's going to cost you 8 million. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You've got to think twice about that, you know? And the other bit of sacking Steve Bruce, even though everyone is saying, sack him, you should have sacked him last week. Whoa, wait a sec, breathe. Have you got someone ready to come in right now, today? Now, I believe, Alwaleed, I don't know because I'm not in the, I don't have that inside information. I believe everything happened very quickly last week, from the fixing the piracy, sorting it out with the Premier League, finishing the deal, handing the money over, taking over the club. It happened very quickly. So they weren't ready with the manager. So what, you sack the manager and Graham Cotterill, caretaker? I don't believe in caretakers.
Do you think Consortium, they didn't have idea this might be happen in October? They have previous idea? Because if they have, they should have the plan for the coach. But if they didn't...
I'm sure they might have had an idea, but the ground moves all the time. So a manager that might have been available, let's just say, for example, that they knew it was going to happen sometime September, October this year. And they knew that back in June, for example. Now, they might have their eye on a manager in June, but that manager goes and gets another job.
Like Rafa Benitez.
Like Rafa Benitez is the perfect example. Now, Rafa Benitez has to look after himself, you know? And what you're trying to do, Alwaleed, is you've got to try and persuade these people that, look, I know that this deal has not happened for 1 year, but trust me, please, trust me. It's going to happen next month. Ah, really? It comes back to where we started this conversation about, you're going to pay me my money. When? You know? So I'm Rafa Benitez. How do I believe you? This has been going on for a year, and you're telling me that now it's true. It's going to happen next month. So I'm sorry, I need to look after myself. I need a job.
So it's most likely they weren't very sure.
They weren't very... Look, nothing is done, is it? Until it's done. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, because now the coach thing is all what Newcastle talk about Newcastle fans. Okay.
To sum it up in summary, it would be the coach is purely a vehicle to, number one, show you're serious. So I put out a tweet last week that was a poll. It was a vote asking, what's more important, do you think, for any new owner? Is it a marquee coach or a marquee player? Now, obviously, you can't get a marquee player till January, but let's just assume for now. And 86% said marquee coach was more important. It shows that you're serious as owners, and it attracts, as we said before, the elite players, Because you go through and have a look, Alwaleed, at all of the players that are out of contract next summer around Europe. There's some big names in there. Mbappe, Pogba. There's some big names who are out of contract next summer. So you can go and get them for free.
Mbappe, he went to Real Madrid, that's for sure, but maybe the other players.
Hey, who knows?
Who knows?
Look, there's a bit of we call it misnomer, Alwaleed. I don't know if you know that word. A bit of a misunderstanding amongst fans. They think that players always make the decision. It's just not true. The advisor, the agent, is the one who is in that player's ear every day. Every day they meet with their player, they talk with their player. Most agents are very close to their players. They're best friends. So if I'm your agent, Alwaleed, right, and I'm saying, go to Real Madrid, okay, it's got a higher standing, it's immediately in the Champions League, okay, but they've got financial problems, Real Madrid. You know, they're struggling. La Liga is struggling as a league. Look at Neymar. Neymar openly admits it was a mistake going to Paris Saint-Germain because in the rest of the world, nobody watches the French league and therefore don't see PSG, and therefore it affects his brands, his sponsorship, because you're not getting as many people following the French league. So he might look at that. Now, if the agent is smart, they might say, you can go to Newcastle, you can get whatever money you want, you know, that's a good thing. But on the downside, obviously, and look, I'm not saying for a second that Mbappe is coming next summer. I'm just trying to get you to understand how the player and agent thinks. They would, however, go, yes, but they're not in the Champions League and need to be in the Champions League next season. So I would say the answer is going to be no. That's the problem. But if you get the right manager, the right coach that they believe in, and let me take you back for a bit of history, Alwaleed. Players came to the first Newcastle United project in the 90s because of Kevin Keegan. Newcastle had been promoted from the second division, the championship as it is now. They'd been promoted from the second division. They didn't have that that glory of the 80s that Liverpool had and Manchester United had, and Everton to a certain extent. So the players, you go and ask all of those star name players that joined Newcastle United in the early and mid 90s. They joined because of Kevin Keegan. He was a hero to them in the 80s when they were boys and children. So what I'm saying to you is all you're doing is exactly the same thing, but you're doing it in 2021, 2022. You're taking someone who was an idol to many of these players, such as Zidane, and you're saying, yeah, I'd go and play for Zidane. I worshipped him. I worshipped him as a player. You know, he was this guy, World Cups and Champions Leagues and Real Madrid and, you know, famous and all the rest of it.
If you are Joe Morrison, short-time manager for Newcastle, who you would bring in the January transfer market? 3 players.
3 players. Is this fantasy? It's as if they're available, if they would come. No problem.
Fantasy is easy, but I want the realistic and with much help for the club. And could they come and help us?
Come on, Alwaleed. You don't want to do fantasy.
Okay, do fantasy.
Put it this way. I think anyone who comes in, any manager, owner that comes in, you need 3 players in the spine of your team that are much higher level than anyone else in that squad. And I would always go for striker, midfielder, and goalkeeper. They would be my priorities.
Okay, fantasy
names. And if you're talking about fantasy, if they were available, I would go for Jan Oblak in goal. I would go for Kante because I just think, put it this way, France don't win the World Cup without Kante. It's as simple as that. Everyone talks about Pogba. No, Kante. And up front, I would go for Harry Kane. There's my fantasy. And by the way, they are fantasy, but not in the January window. But I think you could get them if you're really serious. You wouldn't get them in January, but I think you could. Look at Atletico Madrid. You know, Atletico Madrid will sell a player because they're not the richest club in the world. They like to cash in on players if someone comes with the right offer. So you could easily get Oblak. Kante might be a bit harder. But Harry Kane, well, he wants out of Tottenham. But I think Harry Kane wants trophies, doesn't he? So I don't think Harry Kane would come for money. He wants a club that is going to be guaranteed in the Champions League next season. So he'd probably say no.
Ian trying to be realistic and fantasy at the same time. He said Torofsky, Kante, Son.
Yeah, it's a good mix. Good mix. It's hard, isn't it? You see, everything changes when this kind of stuff happens because salaries are not going to be a problem, and buying them out of contracts is not going to be a problem. So then it boils down to how badly does this person want to be in the Champions League, and who is the manager that they'll come and play for.
Okay, who you think might become realistic? Because I hear, like, for example, most news in Saudi past few days, they said Icardi. But who you think the 3 player it is possible to sign them in January, regardless the manager, or regardless the Champions League?
I think you would have to go and look at top elite, because remember, we're talking about elite players here. We've had 14 years of mediocre, and some might say that's a little bit disrespectful, but you have to be honest. A mediocre squad and a mediocre 11. So we're talking about elite players. You have to first and foremost, in my opinion, look at players who are not necessarily the first choice flavor at teams that they're already at, such as Raheem Sterling. You know, is Raheem Sterling the first choice week in, week out at Manchester City? So he's clearly a little bit unsettled, and he's an elite player. He's the first name on the team sheet for England. He was there best player, in my opinion, in the Euros. So in the European Championships. So why don't you go test Manchester City and say, will you sell Raheem Sterling?
But I think maybe the agent will tell him, no, wait for the World Cup.
The problem is with the World Cup, and I don't know, someone who's watching this might be able to tell me better. My understanding is the transfer windows are still the same. So if he's waiting to do something amazing in the World Cup and then to get a move after the World Cup, then you're talking about not this January, not next summer, but probably the January window after the World Cup, because the World Cup is in November, December.
Because Raheem, he's I believe he's number one player
in England.
In England, I saw this in the Euro.
But he's not at the moment the number one favorite in Manchester City. So
yeah, see.
So my point is, there's players.
So why is Raheem going to Newcastle and jeopardize his position in England now, in Newcastle situation now?
So here's the thing, which comes back to the agents and understanding how agents think.
Okay.
You've also got to look at the age of the player as well. So I was joking with Ali Khalid, that journalist that we were talking about. He's a big Liverpool fan. And I was just phoning up to tell him that Mo Salah is leaving Anfield. and we were joking about it, obviously. But I said, look, it's a joke. However, think through what the agent is thinking. So Mo Salah, right? He is 30, if I'm not mistaken. So his next contract, Mo Salah's next contract, is going to be his last big one, because you're going to sign a 5-year deal. So in his mind, and more importantly in the mind of the agent is going to sit there and go, right, the next contract has to be a big one. What are the motivations for Mo Salah himself? What are the motivations for his agent? Now, Mo Salah, I am sure when he started his career, because remember, he's closer to the end of his career than he is the beginning of his career in terms of age. I'm sure when he started out, he said, I want to play in England. I want to play in the Champions League. I want to win the Champions League. I want to win the Premier League. I want to go to a World Cup. Probably even he had a dream of winning the World Cup with Egypt, which is not going to happen, but not during his career anyway. So he's ticked the boxes. He's played for Liverpool. He's won the Premier League. He's got that medal. He's won the Champions League. He's got that medal. He's played in the World Cup. So what's the motivation for Mo Salah? Mo Salah could go to Newcastle and be the #1 star in the team on what would be probably one of the biggest contracts in history. His final contract would be a monster of a contract. And that might be for him and his agent, Alwaleed, that might be what just convinces him. So
we remember when Robinho when he came to Manchester City, how huge it was.
Yeah, and people said it'll never happen. I remember the chatter on the day that it was happening, and people, because remember, that was like Twitter wasn't going, well, it was going at that point, but it wasn't a common social media platform. I remember getting the messages on my phone saying, have you heard, Robinho was going to, no, really? Robinho going to Manchester City? And then you look back at Newcastle's history, and I remember the talk about Alan Shearer coming to Newcastle. Bullshit. Alan Shearer's not going to sign for Newcastle. He's going to sign for Manchester United. This is crazy. And the deal was done. And obviously we all know now what happened. You can go and Google it on YouTube and get the story from Sir John Hall and from Alan himself and all those who were involved in the deal. You know what? I, as a fan, it's a struggle because of 14 years of mediocrity. It's a struggle to all of a sudden raise your expectations. Yeah? Yes. Fans are kind of like, yeah, we want something better than the current squad. We want a manager who's better than the current manager. No. You know, Alwaleed, how the guys at the top of PIF think and how people who are serious investors all over the world, not just in sport, how they think. No. Their minds are up here. Their expectations are up here. They'll be going big because they want to make a statement. They want to show people that we're serious about all of this.
That's really brilliant, Joe. At the end, I would like just to. I
could talk to you for ages. I've got plenty of time.
Well, that's would be great. It would be very great, and hopefully we'll do another show together with different topics. I would like to say. free speech, not like I'm asking you a topic or regarding a message to Saudi fans for Newcastle. Just opportunity if you want to say something to the Saudi fans and also Newcastle fans, which we are now all Newcastle fans. That makes sense.
Yeah. Mabruk. Look,
Mabruk, thank you.
I think it's great because I have seen what happened with Emirati fans and their support for Manchester City. You know, Manchester City, except for a percentage that have always supported Liverpool, for example, or Real Madrid, but they've got behind Manchester City and it's become their club. And I hope the same thing happens in Saudi Arabia. And it's going to be great because, you know, you are a hardcore Newcastle fan and you're Saudi, but there are many Saudi fans who are crazy about football, like we saw at the King Fahd Stadium. But there are also many fans who might not know a lot about Newcastle. By the way, have no doubt that there'll probably be a Netflix documentary coming soon that is going to go out to the Middle East and go out to Saudi, you know, to give a bit of the backstory to Newcastle and to show what goes on behind the scenes. And you're going to see all of these connections now. You're probably going to see Saudi Airlines flying direct to Newcastle. You know, that'll start within the next few months, direct flights, which then gives the opportunity. And the message I would give to Saudi fans is you must go and experience the match day atmosphere. You said to me at the beginning, Alwaleed, that you've never been to St. James's Park on a match day. Oh, trust me. I worked there for a few years. I was a fan before. Actually, I worked at the BBC, but covering Newcastle before that. So that match day buzz, it goes through your skin, Alwaleed. It goes right through your bones. When the stadium is packed, when the noise is going crazy, it's absolutely fabulous. So the message I would give is get on that plane, go to St. James's Park with any opportunity that you have, because obviously we don't have quarantine anymore and all the borders have opened. Get on the plane, go there, and you will be absolutely blown away by the electricity that falls down from the top tiers, down and flows through the lower tiers and out onto the field of play because, and this is worth pointing out, as many people do that I've watched recently, it's a one-team city. That's the fundamental difference, Alwaleed. You go to Liverpool, there's more than one team. Manchester, there's more than one team. London, many teams. It's a one-team city, and you don't understand that electricity until you've actually been to the stadium. So go, yalla.
Actually, I want to show you a video. It's a great, there is word there I learned. Let's watch the video first. It's interesting. Yeah. No, I believe it's not here now.
Oh, Alwaleed, you're pressing the wrong buttons. You've cut me off. Oh, you've frozen. I don't know what's happened. Your screen is frozen.
Yeah, when I look for the video in the gallery, it's this is happening. So let's,
right, okay.
Yeah, waiting to download. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Whilst we're waiting, we'll continue for a little bit longer. It's going to be great for the city, and I want to see more connection as well. My brother actually owns apartments in the city, and some of his tenants are Saudis, and they've been going crazy this last. They're students at the university, so they've been going crazy this last week. Amazing, exactly. And my father obviously worked in Saudi in the 90s. He used to actually take the Newcastle shirts every time he came home on holiday. He used to buy some Newcastle shirts and take them back and give them to the board of directors at Savola. He used to give them each a shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
In the 90s. Long time ago.
That's really great, and I wish if I will be there soon, hopefully. And really, it's crazy. Yeah, it's excited times. Let's play the video, and we'll get back with Joe Morrison.
This is what we've waited all summer for. What makes Newcastle United so special to the fans? It's tribal. You come out and all you see is black and white.
Unlike Manchester and Liverpool, the city unites behind the club.
It's part of what growing up in the North East is about. It's who we are.
And yet this is a club that hasn't won a domestic trophy since 1955.
For years this club has gone with one mistake after another.
When you're a Geordie, you get kicked. You just get up and get on with it.
The Championship has been a graveyard for some huge clubs.
It's simply about promotion to the Premier League. Can they do it?
They kind of have to, really.
With a manager like Rafa, we've got hope.
We haven't had that for a long time.
How are the lads?
Lovely finish from Matt Ritchie.
5 straight wins for Rafa Benitez's side.
The script is written, but anyone knows that. We do it the hard way.
Big problems for Newcastle United.
Newcastle United are embroiled in a major investigation by the taxman.
I am livid!
Rafa Benitez could walk away.
We're always just one Mike Ashley manoeuvre away from the whole club imploding.
You've always got to try and have faith.
I can't do a lot of things that I used to do, but I want to capture those moments in life where you just feel euphoric.
And it's fired into the back of the net.
You do just start to hope.
Newcastle are in peril again at home.
I don't understand. You might not do it. This is crunch time.
The amount of miles fans put in just shows the passion.
We are mental and we are mad. People from this area are so proud of the football club.
We are the heart and soul of the city.
I've always beaten Newcastle and I hate it hard.
It means everything to us. Everyone coming together, the Newcastle family, their heart is black and white.
And that's football.
It doesn't really matter, but it does.
Brilliant.
Joe, I believe you are one of the luckiest in Newcastle because you left the club in right time before Mike Ashley era.
Yeah, I mean, look, what I'll say on Mike Ashley is I've got nothing to add to what everyone else has said. There is one crumb of comfort, if any, and it's a small crumb, and that is he didn't leave the club in debt. And I'll tell you why that's important. It's important in terms of financial fair play and what comes over the next 3 years. And it's also important as well as I've got friends who are Manchester United fans, and what's happened, I've seen, because I was covering over the last 3 years La Liga, and I've seen what went on at Barcelona. Barcelona was only a week away from complete collapse in January. And that's what debt does. And there are so many clubs in the Premier League that operate on debt and lots of it. And we all know how much debt. We're talking $500 million, aren't we, Manchester United? Barcelona, obviously, 1.2 billion. So if there's one crumb of comfort from his 14 years, it's, yes, he did nothing with the club in terms of taking it forward financially. But at the same time, it's not an appetizing prospect for new owners to come in, buy the club, and pay off all of the debt as well. So I think that's one of the reasons that it was a good prospect as a potential investment for PIF.
For me, I understand the whole thing about Mike Ashley, but I kind of also have some feeling that because of Mike Ashley, we had much opportunity to come for Newcastle somehow. So.
Yeah. Look, the things that he said last week, I don't know whether they are or they're not true. He said that I had another potential buyer just lately who was going to give me more money, but I wanted the club to go to PIF. Now, that could just be bullshit, but maybe it's true as well. Put it this way, in my 16 years here in the Middle East, I have met every shyster, fraudster, scam artist, bullshitter, Alwaleed, who think that they're in the financial sphere to buy a football club in the Premier League, and they weren't. And the ones who were close to it were, again, borrowing lots and lots of money to fund a takeover. And it comes back to the debt. Everyone talks about the owners and directors test. We've heard many, many people speak about it over the last year and a half. the owners and directors test needs only one element as far as I'm concerned. Are you buying the club with debt? And if so, how much? And they should put a limit on it and say, you can only fund a takeover with, say, for example, 20% debt. The other 80% needs to be cash. And if you haven't got the cash, go away. Why is that important? Because you go and look through all the clubs that failed, and you'll see behind there was someone who leveraged the club. Portsmouth being the greatest example. The only test that I'm interested in owners and directors is, are you borrowing money to buy this football club? Why? Because it is going to end badly. You've got to pay that money back somehow.
Exactly. One of the most reason of failed takeovers among the clubs is financial, which it wasn't that the problem with this deal. Back to the trailer from the We Are Geordie movies. I noticed Gibson, Mr. Gibson. He said Gibbo, yeah. He said something. It's as you said, it's one club, not like Manchester or Liverpool. We have one city club, and also the word from one of the fans. He said tribal. So this is a tribal. It's a tribal. Everything in black and white.
And I hope that comes through to the Saudis as well. That it is tribal. That there's that. Michael Knighton, yeah, of course, I forgot about him. Was that the guy? Was Michael Knighton the guy that was into UFOs and flying saucers? Jeff, I can't remember. More gears than an F1 car. Gearing is another way. For those of you who don't know, gearing is another way of saying leverage or mortgage or borrowing money. That's quite a good way of putting it. I like that. I'm going to use that with your permission.
Sure,
yeah. So, it's you're absolutely spot on, Jeff. Because it is always going to be problematic when you have to pay that debt back. And bearing in mind, interest rates on debt is only going to go up because it's the lowest it's been in history. So they're only going to go up over the next 10 years. It becomes more expensive to pay that debt. Where do you start taking that money from? You start taking the money from the playing squad, don't you? You buy players that cost less money. You buy players that are less salary. You sell players. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, Alwaleed, when Newcastle United was a selling club. As soon as they got a star player like Gaza, like Chrissy Waddle, they sold them. They had to pay the bills, That's what I was used to.
All right.
I'm showing my age. Alwaleed. I didn't grow up in the 80s. I grew up in the 2000s.
Okay. We have tomorrow. I will just want to announce. I have tomorrow a show with David Burt. He play for a while in Newcastle, and he was the famous of this video. It's been, if you remember it, I don't know if you remember it, Joe. It was right after what we said, the first announcement of the takeover last year. Let's play the video, and it's also I'm advertising my show with him tomorrow.
Hey, Newcastle United fans, I've got a song for you. It's about the takeover. You're gonna like it. You're gonna sure like this. You got black and white stripes? Yeah! Here's a song for you. Get ready. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. How long has this been going on? 1, 2, 3, 4. How long has this takeover going on?
To be honest, I wasn't.
What a dressing gown, eh? That's a proper toweling dressing gown.
Actually, he's David Burt. He's a play. What do you know about David Burt, Joe?
Very little. By the way, don't ask me about anything to do with memory and history, because I can't remember what happened last week, Alwaleed.
Okay,
never mind.
We'll have David tomorrow.
Sorry, what happened last week? Did something happen last week?
Yeah, it's an anniversary of the takeover.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and some of the comments say yesterday was the last time, or last maybe some public maybe celebration in Tyneside. Unfortunately, when I go there, I'm afraid that the takeover will be celebration. It's general celebration will be stopped, but hopefully not. I want to continue until I come, which is very soon.
Inshallah.
كان معنا جو موريسون المدير وسائل الإعلام الرقمية في نادي نيوكاسل في فترة 2001 تقريبا إلى 2005. Thank you, Joe, for Morrison for coming. It was a lovely show. Appreciate it, and we hope to see you soon.
شكرا.